relax, and keep your eyes to the skies.
And greetings, folks, and welcome to S-4, where we talk about the serious issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S-4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains here in our studio in Cape Horn, Concrete, Washington.
I just gotta say, if they've listened to the show for the last 2 weeks, they don't believe you when you say serious issues.
Oh, I know. I totally get it. So tonight, it's May 16th. It's time for Roundtable, and so much to talk about. So sit down, grab your beverage of choice, and enjoy the ride. And tonight with us, we have Barry Gaunt, our MUFON director and producer of Into the Fire podcast.
An overall nice guy.
Overall nice guy, absolutely. We have Joe, our geologist and master of California. We have, well, once she gets here. Okay, so we have Arnold Hampton, our retired U.S. Forestry Service of Washington State, and his son Daniel. And when she gets here, we have Harmony Fronterhouse. As soon as her Skype is done updating, then she will be joining us as well. She is a podcaster and author. So we will begin the show. So, before the show we were talking what we did this week. So I was on a movie set called Kimmy. I encourage you all to watch for it. It's an awesome Steve Soderbergh movie. It's going to be on HBO Max. So when you're watching for it, or when you're watching it, there's going to be an abduction scene. Look for the homeless guy in the middle of it, because that's me. And that was such an experience. So that is my sixth movie. I'm used to movie sets. It's not, they're fun. They're exhilarating. But I haven't been in a movie since about 2010. So this is the first one I've been in 11 years. And it was fun. I'll say that. It was fun other than being harassed. But the way I see
harassed for?
If I was being harassed, then I was actually in costume. And that was a good thing. They couldn't differentiate my character from reality and a movie set. So when I went down there, I was told what my character was going to be, so I actually had my own costume and my own outfit and props and whatnot. And I showed up as a homeless veteran. And it was funny because as soon as I got there, I've got security going, "Excuse me, sir, this is a movie set. You're not supposed to be here." I'm like, well, actually, I'm the homeless guy, one of the homeless guys on the movie set, so I'm supposed to be here. And I even had one of the crew. We've got position one. So position one is where you start and you start walking towards the camera. So, we get done with one set, and I've got this crew member going, "Excuse me, sir, yeah, you need to be back here." I'm like, "Oh, so back to position one?" He goes, "Oh, shit. You're one of us?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am. I'm one of your homeless guys." Like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." It's like, "No, that means I'm doing a good job." So, yeah, and the second day, I'm in line for the bathroom because they're like 2-stall bathrooms. So there's like a line of people, waiting to use the restroom. And I got a security guy that walks up and he says, "Excuse me, sir, you're not supposed to, are you supposed to be back here?" I'm like, "Excuse me, if you look at my shoe, I've got a blue zip tie on my shoe. That means I'm part of your cast." Oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, "No, it's okay. It's fine."
The only time that you will be happy, somebody is like, "Hey, dude, you look like a homeless guy."
Well, okay, so you know what's funny too? So we had four we had 4 crew that were Seattle police. Not really cops. They have Seattle police uniforms on. And so the security had a hard time with them too, because if they, they would see them and go, "Hey, we got a problem over here," and they'd be like, "Sorry, I've got a rubber gun. Can't help you."
Hey, you know how bad it would hurt to get hit with a rubber gun?
I want to use that line.
No, not a rubber bullet. A rubber gun that won't even shoot rubber bullets.
Oh, hell yeah, but if you whack somebody upside the head with that, that's going to be
from what I heard, that was the problem in the other movie you were in, too.
Which one? Says Blue Pill. Yeah. I was. Anyway.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a good warm welcome to Harmony.
Hey, Harmony, how you doing?
Hello, Harmony.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Harmony.
Thank you.
Harmony, are you able to turn your microphone up?
Oh, yep. How's that? Can you hear me
Perfect.
better?
Absolutely.
All right,
great.
so let's get the show on the road. So, yes, watch for Kimmy when it comes out. And Cole's my new agent, so I'll be doing a lot more acting work, I think.
So if you want to be an actor, please send $2,500 to...
So, now, after a while, it just kind of hit me that this is what I missed. And this is what brought me happiness. So, I'm going to be pursuing more acting, more movie sets. It's just fun. It's therapeutic. And every once in a while, it actually pays a little bit. Anyway,
Especially
so Harmony.
when you start out in gay porn, which he's going to. I mean, what?
Oh, God. So, Harmony, how you doing tonight?
Doing great, thank you. Just came in from outside and got some good work done today, so feeling good.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay, so for new listeners, the way Roundtable works, you have a shout out. We got to give a shout out to our Facebook.
We got to give a shout out to everyone on Facebook. Thank you. We have reached 1,500 likes last week, and that is awesome.
Woo! We're part of the 1,500 club.
Hi, Sherry. Nice to see you on the chat room, as always. Friend, Billy, welcome, and Tim. Friend, you guys rock. But like I said, we really appreciate the hype that you guys give us on Facebook and all the likes that you throw out at us each week. So thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, you
That's
guys
awesome.
are awesome. You're the reason we do this.
It is. It really is. If we didn't have listeners, we wouldn't be doing this.
No,
You do some mushrooms before the show or something?
No. I had a long day. Leave me be.
Joe, I think she got into your fields.
Do it.
I ate some tainted quail, or
There
what?
is no way Joe doesn't
Oh,
Those were killer
quail from
Oh,
hell.
I'm sorry. Is that like a hellhound, but
I've
with
got-
a quail's head?
Huh?
What? You
What?
said quail from hell.
We're not talking.
I'm never going to be able to sleep.
Star Wars.
No, but dude, we had killer owls here the other night. They were
Yeah.
talking back and forth.
That was creepy. It was.
Oh, cool.
Are you sure they were owls? Did you get to see them, or were you just
No,
hearing the
okay.
owl noises?
So I gotta say, the weird part about these owls is they did show up and start hooting
Until
right
after that light.
after that crazy light went over our head, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute!
Right.
Isn't that what they disguise themselves as?"
And they're very good
Yeah.
background singers.
Generally speaking.
Oh yeah, dude, they are amazing background singers for sure. I said, "Who let the dogs out?" and they were who. It was great.
Yeah, no lie.
Funny thing, I had an abductee one time, and he heard these owl sounds, and he recorded it, and he sent it to me, and I listened to it over in Adobe, and holy cow, there was voices behind it, everything else, and it was just weird. It was, oof.
Oh, that's
So if you ever hear it again, record it and then listen back and see what you pick up.
You know,
Just,
I gotta
wow.
be honest though, I don't know if I'd want to sit in my backyard in the dark if I picked up voices in the background of that owl going, "Hey, Kayla."
Yeah.
Oh, and real quick, so we give a shout out to our Facebook listeners. So for listeners that don't know where S-4 Paranormal Radio Facebook group is, just look for S-4 Paranormal Radio and like the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
all you
on
gotta do.
Facebook.
And so we are the voice of Fourth Moon Paranormal. So again, Fourth Moon Paranormal group can be found also on Facebook. We do all of our work off Facebook because that's where everybody is.
All right.
So the way Roundtable works for any new listeners as well, I know Harmony is new to the show, is everybody brings 3 questions on anything involving paranormal topics. And we sit and we discuss them. And I always say 3 questions because there's always going to be those 1 or 2 that are, you have 1 or 2 word answers, and it makes for a long show. So if we don't get through all 3 questions from everybody, not a big deal. We use them next time.
All right.
Hallelujah.
So, Daniel, let's start with you tonight.
Okay, so first one I have, and this goes for Barry too, because he was talking about the audio recordings playing different sounds back and stuff. I had a friend who went up Liberty area up by Lions Rock, kind of that little range, Blue Pass, looking for like Sasquatch and some other types of cryptids. And he had a audio recording that if he played it on his portable player, it would play a different sound. But then once he transferred over the files, there was no sound whatsoever on it. Like after he tried downloading it, wiped the files both in clean sides. But when he showed it me up on the mountain, we actually got a response from something that I have not heard before, and maybe some of you guys might have heard it. It sounded kind of like a wailing siren more than the normal calls I've heard would be. Like, not anything of a normal-sized cryptid that I've heard.
Huh.
A siren?
Like a flood siren or like a evacuation type siren?
It sounded like an evacuation siren, but if you were to turn the pitch on it extremely low to where it would vibrate your ears.
Okay, so more like a dog whistle,
but that like a deep bass, yeah. And it did it twice. Because the funny thing was, because I went up there when I missed the last paranormal show, I went up there to go help him get his truck off the mountain because it just died. He couldn't get it to start. He couldn't get anything to work.
Mm-hmm.
Did it sound like the trumpet noise that they pick up in other countries?
That's what I was thinking of, like where they've picked up like the a lot of people talk about like the harp, those aerial noises. But it was so deep and close that I couldn't pick up if it was coming from above us or around us. Mm-hmm. Like, it just filled your head with the noise.
Huh. What's your thoughts, Barry?
Good question.
Was there anything,
this is the first time I've had...
Was there anything else to it? Were there lights in the sky? Were there...
whoa, wait.
Where...
Just for a second. If people don't know what Liberty, Washington is, it is a ghost town. It is one of the ghost towns in Washington State. It's one of the most haunted places in Washington State. Just... There you go.
Because in the area we were at, it was so thick over with pine that we couldn't see. Where his truck died, it was a good 100 yards around us where the pines were covering any sourceable... Like, you could see a star or something when the wind would blow, but you couldn't really see anything above, and there wasn't any projectable light coming down.
Okay. So no associated lights in.
Not that I can see.
What's really strange about this, and I about fell out of my chair when he started talking about it, when he heard it's like a siren-like sound. The other night, I was outside at about 1:30 in the morning, and I live in the middle of a small little town, right out by the square. And there was this really weird, what I would only can explain as a siren from an old time ambulance or something, really old, and it didn't last very long. But then right afterward, there was this lady that spoke up and had something, and I was just going, You got to be kidding me. I'm going inside.
At least you didn't see any associated black-eyed children.
Right, exactly.
That would have just calmed it off.
Yeah.
Barry's kids.
Right?
But before I forget about this part too, because this may help in a certain sense. So his truck is fairly newer. He knows how to work on it, everything like that. So the truck's in actual running condition. So when he got to this one spot, the truck all power to it just died. Someone just ripped the battery out of the truck.
Like an EMF pulse.
That's what he was thinking.
Yeah.
But none of his stuff was going off for it, like his readers or anything, which I don't know how credible his products are. But the funny thing was, we pushed it, I don't know, half a mile from where where it died, and the radio just comes on.
Yep, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's
really interesting.
that's where I was like,
and that's usually associated with UFOs.
Yes, exactly. Or
that's where I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I think we should, move on down the road a little bit before we stop and ponder.
Yeah, exactly. I would have definitely been going, get out of there. Has he had any other problems with his truck? Because reason why I ask is that I was on a witness case, and pretty bizarre thing happened to me. Same thing happened with my truck, and it actually fried the computer in my truck, and so now I have to get out and unpull the negative. Every time I shut it off, the batteries keep on draining because the computer system is screwed up on it now. So I've got to get out and pull out the negative cord when I shut the truck off, or it's not going to start, and I got to hook it all back up again. And it was all related to that event, and the only thing I could tell was it was somebody aimed a pulse ray at me. Get the heck out of here.
Barry, what year's the truck?
2012 Ford 150 pickup truck. It's the what do they call that? It's the high-end version of the truck. I can't even, isn't it sad? I can't even say what the name of my truck is. But it's got every bell and whistle on it imaginable. So, and it's funny because sometimes I'll open the moonroof on it, and the moonroof will keep going back and forth, or I'll hit the window on the other side, and it will go up and down, up and down, up and down. So it's like going, don't touch anything.
Yeah, my friend's truck is a 2011 Nissan Frontier.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I know a lot about that area. Okay, that's my stomping grounds. That's my place. So back in 1875, 1876, right after about 5 to 6 years after the town of Liberty became a mining town,
right.
They did gold mining there. There was a mine collapse on the left mine. And I do know that they used to have the town sirens that would go off every time that they had some kind of an incident at the mine. So it might be some kind of a shadow
siren.
Replay of
It
that.
could be. It could
That could have been
okay.
a ghost siren you heard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it
crazy.
could have been. It could have been that would make it more residual.
Right.
But still awesomely cool, but it doesn't explain the EMF that would come with it.
Well,
it does,
or what?
though.
It kind
does,
of
though, because
it kind of does in the sense that so if you have a residual, you're still going to have that energy, and you know as well as I do, Barry. When you go into an investigation with a high energy read, it drains your batteries sometimes.
Oh yeah, it does. It
Well,
definitely
yeah,
does.
And
That
right
could be.
before large ghost sightings, or right before something happens, sometimes you get the flickering lights, you get an energy drain, you get too much power pulsing through one area at the same time. So I think if it's an event like that, and I believe during that event there were about 5 or 6 people that died in that mine.
Mm-hmm.
So that would give plenty of energy.
When you have the energy of the death, you have the energy of the event, and the energy of the town that's still left on that event. You might have enough there to cause some serious mechanical issues.
So I would answer that with one of two things happen. One, you had a UFO event, because that would drain your battery and possibly make the same noise, or you had a residual haunting effect. Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
I
that,
hope.
All cool, though. All very cool.
Oh, absolutely.
and that's what I'm saying. With that town, I'd go more for the residual haunting effect, honestly.
Barry,
Yes.
on your truck, here's what I want you to do tonight when you get off here.
Okay.
I want you to take off your negative battery cable, turn your headlight switch on, leave it on for 30 seconds, turn it off for 30 seconds.
Okay. I can do that.
It'll reset the ECM.
It does? Okay.
It's
Excellent.
that's what Ford's fixes is.
Well, I hope it does.
Well, if that doesn't work,
Because, man, I'm coming to Washington to kiss you.
then you want to
I want video of that.
you want to test it.
So do I.
I don't come cheap, guys.
He charges by the pound. He's crying, baby.
So, after that, you want to disconnect your negative battery cable, and at O'Reilly's Auto Parts, you can buy a test light for $12,
Yeah.
and you hook it up to your negative post, and then touch the actual light to your line. If it's on when the vehicle's off, you have a draw somewhere.
Yeah.
And from there, you just have to follow your positive line to find your draw.
Oh, great.
That's if the headlight thing doesn't work.
And that can take years.
Friend?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. With the electronics that this puppy's got in it, I mean to tell you, from heated mirrors to heated seats to everything else imaginable, this has got it. So
A quick way to find the draw is you hook up that light so it's continuously on. So hook it to the negative post, hook it to the negative cable, and if it stays on, that you have a draw. And then you start pulling fuses, and it'll tell you which one has the draw. As soon as the light goes off, that's where it is.
Yeah.
yeah.
And if that is too much work, you can always go to the bank and do a different type of draw, and then go down. And
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Buy a Dodge.
Well, I talked to Ford about it already, and they tell me, well, that will be a $3,000 repair bill.
God.
As they would.
Yeah, I figured.
It's $100 an hour.
Yeah.
Draw.
Oof.
All right. Harmony, what's your first question tonight?
Well, first I have a comment on the last question about the Liberty, and we have a ghost train that runs behind my house from Arlington to Darrington. There's an old mining railroad that is no longer a railroad. They've removed the tracks, and it's now a trail that runs about 25 miles, and there is a ghost train because you can hear a train and there's no train out here anymore. And I had some friends that stayed over, and they're like, wow, that train, it was just like so interesting how loud it was. So, did you have a train right by here? And I'm like, no, there's no train. There's a ghost train though. And so I really do think that, when we're tapping into those frequencies of interdimensional experiences, that we are experience sound, and not only these experiences with people or entities, but the sound will happen to these experiences. There's so much more to it, and I really think that affirms what the last the lady before me, I can't remember your name, I don't know if I was here when I heard an introduction, but she really, when she said that, it gave me goosebumps, the truth bumps, right? And totally affirms that experience with the battery dying, because when we were down on that, we go for walks on that trail a lot, and my battery always gets drained when we get to this certain area that's right by this ghost town. So definitely think that there's a correspondence there.
Yeah. We need to come to your house and play.
Can I ask you a
answer.
question about the
Yeah.
ghost train there?
Yeah.
So, do people actually see it when they're on the trail too, or is it just audio?
Yeah, I've heard of some stories where there's been some lights down at the very end, and then they just fade off into nowhere. Or there will be different experiences with lanterns.
Trail cam.
Okay.
Yeah, different lanterns and like the old style of lanterns and that kind of stuff as well. So
Because I gotta tell
pretty
you, I
fast.
think that would scare the shit out of me if I was walking on a trail and I heard it train and saw the lights. In front
We
of
need
me.
to come.
I
We
can't
need
even
to
imagine.
come set some trail cams up.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
yeah, I don't think there's reports of seeing it and hearing it at the same time. Usually it's seeing it or hearing it. So
Okay.
yeah, it comes in different forms.
Cool.
And there's no set time or date that it shows up. It just shows up at random.
Yeah, I've never seen a pattern. That would be a good thing to look into.
Well, because there's that train down at Fairhaven in Bellingham that shows up only in December, which is why I'm curious about it. And you're not too far from the Oso slide either, are you?
But no, we're not too far. I'm actually between Oso and Darrington. So
Okay.
the ghost town here is Fortson, and it's an old logging town. A old logging mill was there, and then there was a whole town as well. And there's still remnants of the mill, and there's remnants of the old they call it in the bank, and some other old remnants, some old cars and things out here as well that you could take a look at. If you guys ever want to come out this way, I'll let you know. Show you, because I've got some.
I can't remember the name of it, but there was an old mill that we investigated like 4 or 5 years ago. That's between Oso and Darrington, but it's like an abandoned town.
That could be it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's wonderful. You have experience with it.
How's there's a train in the background?
Yeah, I kept hearing.
Sorry about that. I got a train going by right now. That story.
It's not the ghost train. It's not the ghost train. Okay.
Right, yeah, it's the ghost train. I apologize.
Hey, perfect sound effects.
Yeah, it is.
And that
Perfect
was
sound
planned.
effect. That one.
So that goes
but,
perfect with one of my questions. Do you guys believe that synchronicity is connected to paranormal activity?
I've heard that theory. I'm not a believer in it so much. I think, Barry, aren't you?
I am in a way, yes. Yeah, so many different things with, synchronicity and everything because of everything that I've had the opportunity to see and to experience. It just makes perfect sense to me. But I got to make a quick comment. One of these days I'll have to tell you the story of the ghost train that has been out at Ottingham Hall, because they used to derail trains, and our property ends at the railroad track out there. It's been there since 1858. And, I had a guy from CSX out there one night, and I got a story that will blow your mind. Anyway, yeah, as far as I think synchronicity is a big part of paranormal. I think it's all intertwined and all involved.
Nice. Interesting. I have no idea. I'm on the fence on both sides. I'm like, it could be, because there's a lot of stuff that's like, yeah, but then there's a lot of stuff that, So I'm right there. I'm on the line there. I'm not quite sure yet.
See, I just don't think about it. It's just it's either paranormal or it's not most of the time. So it's just not something I look into as far as synchronicity goes.
Oh, it's like seeing 1111 all the time and everything else, and it seems like or 333 or some of those things, and when people bring that energy forward or whatever, it seems like it does have a play on it. Now, whether it is caused by the human mind and the human ability to do that, I don't know.
Well, so my big deal with that is that people see the numbers they want to see, people see the shapes that they want to see, and
right.
If you're looking at something and you're expecting to see it, then you're more likely to see it. Do you know?
Oh yeah, like parody and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you have synchronicity happening right now. You're all talking about a ghost train, and Barry's got a train going by his house.
Yeah,
that's synchronicity.
Well, okay, when you consider past lives.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Past lives. Okay, look at the kid with the Titanic.
Yeah.
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 And you got the one that played the piano at 3.
He's born 100 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's...
It's all paranormal.
So I guess it's all wording. I don't believe in coincidence, and coincidence would technically be the same as your synchronicity.
I believe in Quadink.
Oh, I do.
That's winky. That's what I was going to say.
Look at that. You guys are on the same wavelengths.
Yeah. Synchronicity.
So, potato.
Yeah.
I guess technically. Yeah.
So yes and no to answer your question.
Right.
Yes.
Fuck, we're helpful. Like,
depends on the day.
We all
All right.
Let's jump over to Joe. What's your first question tonight?
Okay, before I get to my first question, I got a couple things. You were talking about the owls descending on your place.
Yeah.
I have the owls here, but when I hear them, it's a group of 5 or 6, and they go through the woods, and they sound like they're 900 pounds or so.
Yeah, here's your 800-pound owls.
Yeah, the 800-pound owls. And as far as the cars or the batteries draining, long story short, that happened to me once in the middle of nowhere over on the coastal range in Northern California, and battery died. It was a 76 Firebird for coal, and it just died dead. Luckily, I was able to pull it over the side of the road, tinkered with it for a couple minutes. I got home that night 6 hours late.
Damn.
I was only on the side of the road for 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's a long story. I'll tell you that one sometime.
Oh, yeah, that sounds and
the sounds that you heard, I think when you're in places like that, or like me, I'm out in the middle of nowhere, you get attuned to the sounds. You don't have the big city sounds. You don't have a lot of distractions. And when you hear something weird like that, you notice it. And I think all the people that live out in the middle of nowhere, every once in a while we hear things that go, what the heck is that? But you never get a recorder going in time or anything like that.
Well, it shocks you too bad. Even if I have a recorder close to me or whatever, I don't think about turning it on. And by the time you turn it on, it's over with.
Well,
yeah,
my friend,
exactly.
He had his recorder, it was recording it, and then somehow something messed up with the file. Like he had
weird.
No audio bit on it.
Oh, I think that again goes to paranormal because these spirits have the ability to manipulate mechanical and electronic equipment like you've never seen before. I mean, I've seen stuff come off of security cameras. Everybody uses like a security camera when they go out and they do their filming and everything else. And I've seen stuff, and the way that they do it is it can only delete as it's running. So if you have, depending on the memory you have, so if you have 500 megabytes or gig or whatever you got, it will recycle from the to the never front. touch anything. You can't erase anything else in that
Right.
and they use that for security purposes. But I have seen in the middle of nowhere, after looking at something and hearing it, hear and see 9 minutes just missing out of a thing during a paranormal experience, and that always baffles my mind. You just go, how is that possible? And
now, just playing devil's advocate here, but do you think that the 9 minutes were missing from the recorder, or they were missing from your own personal life?
Well, what was really weird is I had myself and someone else was looking at it, and we actually watched. And what it was is it was caught at the Ottingen Hall, and we have 2 full cameras, and we have 16 cameras that run continually for 24/7. And we saw this event where a team that was there that had a ball on the floor. And the ball actually picks up and is moved in the air and then threw itself down the stairs. Mm-hmm. And we saw it. And we were like going, quick, grab the stick it in here, and let's get this thing back on. And then when we went back to replay it again, we hadn't even put the stick in or anything else. We wanted to see it again. So we went back and replayed it again, and we never saw it. And then when we started looking at the time stamps, from where it stopped, we noticed that there was exactly 9 minutes of that tape was taken out of that thing. I don't think they wanted us to have that. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds weird, but I think that's possible.
Okay. Because, see, I've always wondered, because there's a lot of people that say that there's missing data or that there's missing stuff or they have missing time. Well, I've always wondered because I know that spirits can sometimes show you something in your mind that they're not actually showing you in reality. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, if, for instance, you were both there and you got that mind glimpse of the ball dropping and rolling and all this other stuff, but you didn't actually catch it on camera because it wasn't actually happening at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of strange, coming from you. I do understand that. I love you, Carl.
Okay, Arnold, what's your first question tonight?
My first question deals with historical places or where people go out to sightsee. Can certain places like that call people out and have them do harm to themselves?
That's yes and no. It's not the place; it's what's in the place.
Okay.
That's a good point.
It's if it's demonic, for example. Now I know I always say demons are rare. They are rare, but they do happen. So it really depends on it might even be fake.
Okay.
It depends on what's there and what kind of a message they might want to give you or do to you. Or, it depends on what's in that location. It could even be
because
it could even be a pissed off spirit that's stuck there.
Because Daniel would know where this is at. And I don't know if any, but it's High Steel Bridge out in Mason County. Yeah. And recently, very close together, there's been 2 people die from there, from falling off this 375-foot bridge or something happening to them. And their bodies are washed down to where they can't get them out right away, and they don't know when they're going to. These bodies seem to end up down further in the river and in some spot where it's hard to get them out. Mm-hmm. And it's just been recently that all of a sudden 2. And the one, they found the lady's car parked there. This other one, they were up with friends and somehow ended up in the river. It's just strange that they're real similar, close together, and their bodies have pretty much ended up close to where each other went.
So with that, I would look at the history of the location. If it's something that's calling people to that location where they die, I would see what happened at the location historically.
There was an incident like that on a bridge just outside of New York, and there was like 6 people all at the same time that ended up jumping off of this bridge. Mm-hmm. And like 4 of the 6 died, and the other 2, when they interviewed them and asked them like, why did you do this? They said that they saw a little girl jumping off the side of the bridge, so they jumped after her, but then they couldn't find her anywhere. Mm-hmm. So it could also be something like a draw of somebody else that committed something that pulled them there for like, oh my God, I need to help this. Mm-hmm. You know.
And that's always possible too. You hear stories where witches cursed their land, and so it's going to be a draw for people to come and something harms them. Native American tribal lore where the chief might have cursed the land, or you hear different legends and different lore, and that's what I'd be looking for. Mm-hmm. If there's a continual location where people are going and jumping off bridges or jumping off cliffs, or even going to a cliff and being pushed by an unknown entity, these are things I'd be looking at. When it comes to...
Well, we've got things here like the Forestall Bridge. It's right here in Placer County. There have been so many people who've jumped off this thing that at both ends of the bridges they have plaques for people that are, they're emotionally distraught and maybe thinking of doing it. And there's actually telephones there for them to call and get help before they walk onto the bridge. It's one of the tallest bridges in the country. Then you think about things like the Golden Gate Bridge.
Right.
That's had hundreds of people who took the dive off of that. Is it evil or is it just convenient?
And it could be either one of them. Mm-hmm. Honestly.
Yeah, it definitely could be either one of them.
Golden Gate's too high.
They've only had a couple people survive that. Mm-hmm. They've had hundreds of them that have gone over, and only like 1 or 2 have survived.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look at Deception Pass here.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
What does Deception Pass call people?
No. And half of ours that jump off Deception Pass aren't that smart because they don't go all the way, so they only fall 10 feet and then break a couple things.
Right, and a lot of those have been suicidal ideation to begin with. They weren't paranormal related.
No.
Mm-hmm. No, most of Deception Pass, have been more suicide. I knew several of the rangers that had to go out and talk people down off the bridge before they jumped.
Now, see, with 2 isolated events, though, whether they were close to each other or not, if it's only been 2 events,
I need her to come back
then I would put that more towards human factor.
Well,
now, if it continuously happens, though, then there might be some other draw to that.
Well, normally you hear about this bridge and people doing it, but it's like these were closer together, and it's just the start of the season, and it's just so, close together. It was kind of odd, and their bodies ending up pretty much the same spot.
Well, and that's the other thing about the same spot, though, is if it is that close together, and if it is early season, from what people normally would do that during, then you're going to have a different flow of the river at that point because of the ice melt and everything else. So it might be pushing current to that specific location. Just, as a mundane fact.
Yeah.
So I have 2 things to add to that area. So with High Steel Bridge, it's a big time attraction for a lot of younger people, but also there's a lot of other religious happenings that happen out that way too, given the area and the energy. About 3 miles up a road from High Steel Bridge, just before you turn out there's a place called, in a translation, it's called Fairyland. It's a very energy-dense area that a lot of people have went to out there and have witnessed different paranormal things from Fae, and one of the accounts I do remember, there was a Hispanic family that would go out there every summer to remember someone who'd fallen off the bridge, and the grandfather who would go out would not get near the bridge because he would recite that there was El Llorona here. Which, I don't know if there's a different fae, but in the sense of that, El Llorona would drag children into the river.
Yes.
I know that's a Spanish myth. Yeah, I know that one from down south. It was a mother that drowned her children in the river, and she continues to do it.
So I don't know if there's a fae that would have that same power to cloud someone's judgment on. Maybe I could stand here, but in reality they can't.
Well, there's a lot of fae actually that are water related and water spirits and stuff. And there is like in Ireland, there's the Kelpie, where it's the water horse that will drag you to your death. So there's a lot of mythology around, and a lot of different types of fae that are water and drowning related. So I could see where if there's a huge fae presence there, where there might be something drawing them.
Because when I went out to Fairy, what they call Fairyland, it is a very... It feels like you're walking into like a very thick fog. Like, you go from normal feeling to entering to this area, which the area it's approximately only like 50 feet where people park and have a bonfire or whatever they do out there. But it is completely different once you enter that circle. Perfect. Like, a complete isolated difference. I'll see if I can...
And where did you say that was located? That's in Washington?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna pin the map on Google, and then I'll send aerial location for it to show where it approximately is from High Steel.
And that's what's interesting, because every state has every country for that matter, has their own hotspots. And whether it's an energy vortex on the Earth, whether it's a portal, whether it's ley lines crossing, I mean, nobody really fully knows. But, we all hear the stories where there's this one spot that everybody hears about that's got Bigfoot, UFOs, fae, spirits,
It's called Earth.
Totally. I wonder if...
Hey,
the ghost of Rover's past.
So you were saying that there was like a strange fog when you enter this place, right? Now, have you gone there at different times a year, or have you only gone there in like the summertime?
Oh no, I've been up to there a lot. Because I'd usually go 2 to 3 times during the spring, throughout the summer, and then like once to twice during winter. So I've been there through rain seasons, and it is a constant. It's one of the like I call one of the darker areas I've been to, just because of how dense the energy does feel. Like, it literally feels like someone's sitting on your chest.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, from the mundane perspective, I was just thinking there's this spore-causing mushroom that grows in Washington, and it grows in the late spring to early summertime. So if it was all during the same period, then it makes like this poof of what looks like smoke.
Right.
You know about them little, we used to call them puffballs as kids.
Puffballs, yeah.
You stomp on them, and they're spores.
Yeah, and for somebody that has like high allergies or other issues, that can cause all kinds of different...
Well, it's like the cottonwood here.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny when, Eric, you mentioned those things about the curses and all the other things, with witchcraft, with cursing land, cursing all that stuff. So true, especially in the area that we're at. We have all that down around here. And then also, the interesting thing about fae, we've had fae cases, water spirit fae, that are very... antagonistic, let's say, and persuasive to people. And what's really funny is, in most of the dealings with, I don't know if anyone else can attest to this, but when you said fog, it was, I always look at it, there's a mind fog, I also call, where you go in and all of a sudden your mind just feels totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in an area that is just so different. It's like you could walk within 2 steps back and feel great, and then you walk 2 steps forward and go, "What the hell?"
Exactly.
Am I into?
Or you'll lose time, like 5 minutes becomes half an hour.
Right.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That kind of fog, and Fae are, from my experience, Fae can do that very interesting. I mean, can definitely do that and affect people in that physical way.
And in this case, you can never rule out the Song of the Siren either.
No.
Oh yeah, right.
So that would be a draw, and that would make any person jump over that bridge to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, exactly, and then you're dealing with water also, which is and very possible. I mean, wow, phew. I just got a cold chill.
Okay, so we got about 5 minutes to our first break. I'm going to throw this question from Sherry in here real quick. There's a lot of cryptid stories out there and urban legends. Are there any that you just have a hard time believing or have evidence that they have never happened?
Yes.
Vampires.
Oh, no.
So the thing with urban legends, though, there's always a little bit of truth to every one of them.
I agree, 100%. 100%.
But it's a matter of sifting through the fact versus the fiction. And that's where a lot of your movies do come from. They take that little bit of fact and they throw nothing but fiction, which makes a great movie.
Well, and the thing is, some people are so great at it.
Right.
At creating it. Like Anne Rice, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Built an entire story around a bank account.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there actually is a bank account in New Orleans listed under the name Lestat de Lioncourt from the 1600s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, that in itself is amazing.
Yeah, but you can take small details and spin them into a whole world.
And the bank's still open. Like, the account's still open.
Right.
Well, and I also think the same thing. And I don't know if you guys think not only same lines, but it's like the human body has. These people watch these movies, they go out and they try to emulate it because they may think that it's fun or some kind of thing, and they actually manifest this thing. The body is amazing, has untapped areas.
They open that channel.
No.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next thing you know, you got one of these things walking around.
As far as...
Well, they might, I just can't wrap my brain around somebody actually being... I mean, there might be one. There might be a handful somewhere. But 99% of the stuff out there, it's just a bunch of posers wearing top hats.
Right.
Yeah, well...
you just gotta throw a top hat in there. I'm going to go out and buy a damn top hat now.
So,
you know that,
right? Yeah.
Top hats rock.
This is really unusual, too, for me, because we're talking about something that actually happened to me this week, because I've had 3 eyewitness accounts of a new creature walking around that's man-like, hairy, but has the long arms with incredible rake-like fingers, like razor.
That's just my Uncle Bill.
Yeah, well,
are those reports all in
he's
Kentucky?
A manicure in a bad way if he's roaming around.
Are you talking about Dogman?
Tennessee.
Huh?
But yeah, I mean, the first thing I thought is fake.
No. Yeah. And we'll get to your Dogman story. I definitely want to hear about your Dogman story later on, because that's the first time I've heard of a Dogman report in Washington State. Usually Dogman is known in the South, not here.
Yeah, it was
definitely known around LBL here, because that's a big deal from the deaths back in the 80s. And
on that note, we are going to go to
Wait 1 minute. My argument with I think my only argument as far as urban legends go is Slenderman. To be honest with you.
Yes.
Yes.
Slender Man and anything that comes out of Barry's mouth, man. I just don't know.
If it comes in creepypasta, I guess I have a hard time with it. I mean, again, there's a little bit of truth to a lot of it, and you know,
they all got to come from somewhere.
They do, and you know, I actually have, because I was supposed to be in a Slender Man movie years ago, and I had to do some research and create a book on Slender Man for the character that I was playing. So I did research on Slender Man, and so I actually have pictures of wood carvings of a Slender Man creature from the 1800s. So I have no doubt there's a little bit of truth to it, but when you have a bunch of kids that kill their friend or stab their friend because Slender Man told me to, no, I think you're...
I think that has a lot of mental health.
I think you're right with that, Barry, in that, yeah, I think a lot of them, there's not much fact to them, but then you have a bunch of kids that watch something and they bring it back. They bring back the story of it, but not the actual creature.
Yeah.
And with that, okay, it's time for break, and when we come back, we will carry on this conversation.
All right.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S4 for our second hour tonight of May Roundtable. Always a fun show. I've got my coffee. Do you? Anyway.
No.
Oh,
I have a special
you
copy,
got,
so.
You got Dr. Pepper. You good. So, Sherry's got another good question. What's her opinion on trolls, fact or fiction? I do think trolls are part of the Fae realm.
I like the little fat ones in Frozen.
Yeah, those are really cool. They turn into rocks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Trolls are technically part of the Earth realm when it comes to the Fae.
Right.
So, you don't see them a whole lot. We did have one case where we had trolls that came through a portal, and of course you couldn't see them because they were interdimensional, technically. We opened up the portal, we put them back, and, well, that took care of the paranormal problem.
Now, there is an old Scottish urban legend about trolls.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and in the Scottish urban legend, they say that trolls are not creatures of the Fae realm, that they aren't creatures of another realm, that they are humans that have been transformed due to their evil deeds.
I don't buy into that one.
Right. I'm just saying that as far as when we're talking about urban legends, I always thought that was kind of a cool element to that's a Scottish folklore.
Okay. So, Sherry wants to know, are they the same as elementals? No, they are. I don't think so. I think there is a part of the earth side of the Fae elements. Fae creatures. There we go. Nothing to do with the elementals.
The way I was explained to it by my teacher was that trolls are kind of in the same realm as a dryad to a degree, that you won't really see them because of the camouflage that they can use, because they're more of a traveler, but they're not a outright like harm to you, is what she would explain to me is.
They want to stay in their own world. I'll put it that way. They don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't want to interact with humans. They don't like humans.
Well,
they're one of the ones that don't like humans.
We'll put it this way.
I don't blame them.
How often have you actually seen a mole?
Don't either.
A mole. You see evidence of a mole, right?
We went from moles to trolls?
No.
What the hell?
I'm just saying, you hardly ever actually see one.
When our old
I've
dad
seen
grabbed
them.
one
I see
by the
them.
neck,
I see them.
I saw
Yeah,
them.
I see him.
Okay, alright.
I have moles.
They're multiplying?
They are.
Well,
Underground. Yes, of course. So,
Harley,
Caleb,
are you still here?
what?
I think something. I think she popped out. Like something happened, like a glitch. It looks like.
I'm gonna try her Skype.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I just got the messages.
She was hiding.
Yeah, well, you
Oh,
just
looks
got
like,
a message.
I can finally get back on through.
Hey, I hear
Skype
your.
is being weird. Oh.
Yeah, I love technical.
You know what though? I will say I have been watching a different podcast. One called Smartless.
Right?
And these guys have way more money than all of us.
And they have the
some
same
of the
issues
best
we do.
equipment. And yes, they have this exact same issues.
Right?
They accidentally
You
hung
can't-
up on George Clooney.
You can't get away from Skype problems.
Damn you, technology!
So, Barry, what's your
Yes.
question? What's your first question tonight?
We've had a lot of discussion lately about full body apparitions. And I want your guys' thoughts on it. And, so have you ever seen one? And what was your experience? Was it a residual or was it intelligent? And how would you say you would describe it or give the definition of a full body apparition if you were explaining it?
I had one in Germany that would, it was a woman dressed all in white, and she was always reading a book. And she would come out of my closet, and she would walk to the front door and disappear. And there was one time she actually stopped. So I'm sitting in the living room, and the hallway, this is German housing. So it's they're small apartments. So you walk in the front door, you're walking into a hall. There's one bedroom on the left, second bedroom's on the farther down the hall on the left. Closet is right in front of the door, and then to the right is a living room, and the kitchen is off that. They're small. So you're sitting in the living room, you're looking towards the hall. She comes out of the closet door still closed, and she's walking down the hall towards the front door. She would stop in in front of the living room and look from her book right at you. So that would show intelligence.
Intelligence, yeah, exactly.
And then she would look back to her book and smile and walk and disappear.
When you saw her, was she cloudy, or was she like seeing a human being?
She was
clear as a human being. Okay. Yep.
And at this point in time, I had no. Well, let's see. This will be back in 1997. So we really didn't have cell phones like we do now. It wasn't like you could grab your cell phone and take a good picture, because I'm not even thinking about taking a picture. How many times have you seen something pop up and the first reaction is to grab your camera? It's not mine.
Oh,
it's mine.
Right.
So, yeah, I didn't get any pictures of her, and this was a continual. Back then I didn't think about, grabbing a notebook and keeping a log. I just didn't. I kept logs of other things, but not paranormal things.
Yeah.
But it did seem to happen once a month. So was it a residual? It could fall into that bracket, with the exception that she would stop, and the one time she did stop and look at it. So that would indicate an intelligent being.
Intelligent response, exactly.
Versus a residual. So, yeah, that was my one. And there was a picture we took at Northern State that it looked like an apparition, but if you look at it closer, it could very easily have been the way the light came through the window of the barn. So it was kind of one of those, you could rule it out as probably not an apparition, but it looked apparition-like.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
When
I had one here about 2-3 months ago. First and only one I've ever seen, and it wasn't a full body apparition, but I was sitting in the chair inside, watching the TV, and right in front of me, at human height, I saw a shoulder and an arm going down to the elbow, and it looked like it might have been female with clothes on it, and it's like someone was walking and moving their arm back and forth, and they walked right across the room. So all I saw was the shoulder and the arm down to the elbow, but it was solid but smoky, almost like an old black and white flickering thing. But I mean, it was solid; you could see it. Closest I ever came to a full body.
So when I was a kid, when I was like 7 to 9 years old, I used to think that there was an old man that lived in a small, like, a little house on the property that I was living on.
Okay.
And I would wave to him in the morning, and I'd talk to him sometimes. I'd help him grab certain things, different things like that. So the one thing that anybody who's close to me knows is that I'm terrified of mirrors. Okay? And it plays back to that because I thought this guy was completely real. My entire, 3 years of my childhood, I thought this guy was completely real. And the way that I figured out that he wasn't, and it scared the crap out of me, was he walked by this old mirror, and there was no reflection of him in it.
What was your response?
Well, I figured...
Did you freak out? Did you go,
At that point, I was little, and I went, holy crap, and I screamed about it, and I went and I told my mom, and my mom's like, what are you talking about, old dude that lives in this? What do you mean? And I was like, he lives right out here. And she goes, nobody has lived out there for years. And she told me that when she was little, about my age, that her grandfather lived out there. for a short period of time.
Ah.
So I have seen a full body apparition that was definitely intelligent. It could have a whole conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Did you lose any blood during this period of time? We talked about vampires.
I've got it. So you've got me thinking. So at the point in time I saw the woman in Germany, I wasn't freaked out because by this time I'm trying to think here. I'd already had enough really freaky experiences that seeing ghosts didn't bother me anymore. When you're dealing with UFOs and other stuff that's a little more real, seeing an apparition wasn't... Having a doll walk up your stairs, now that was freaky. Well, she was about a 4-foot doll.
Okay,
and she walked up 3 flights of stairs from the toy room in the basement. And and my child wanted to tear it up.
Yeah. Wow.
So when you have an apparition, okay, cool. Hey, you want some tea? Sherry's got another good question we can discuss for a second about reptilians. Has anyone seen a reptilian?
Nope. I thought I saw one when I was a kid once.
Oh, I've seen one on TV.
On TV?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all over on TV. That's the most common alien they show on TV.
So yeah, it is. It is.
Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, God.
You really want to go down that rabbit hole?
Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
I don't think she's gonna fit down the rabbit hole.
Probably not.
She's fairly rotund.
Unfortunately, I have seen reptilians, and there are different versions of them. Some of them I call like slee stacks.
Right. Well, they have their own. There's I don't even know how many different races of reptilians there are, and some of them have their own hierarchy that has colors involved.
Yes.
So yeah, you're talking a whole spectrum of an alien, of various alien races that fall under the Draco or reptilian or Alpha Draconis spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
I encountered them twice, both in the Army. I didn't actually see them. I felt them and I smelled them, and that wasn't pleasant.
No. Yeah. Were you on base at the time?
Actually, I was on Fort Lewis in 2000. I want to say it was before. I'm thinking it was before my first tour to Iraq, so it would have been about 2003, and that was on base at Fort Lewis. The first time was in Atlanta, Georgia, and that wasn't on base. But so much shit happened in Atlanta that, everything from my phones were tapped to I was being followed by both military and, being involved with aliens. Well, there you go.
Right. All you had to do is say, yep, Atlanta, Georgia. That sounds good to me.
Well, I heard so many. I was actually with MUFON back then, Barry.
Uh-huh.
And that was my first encounter with MUFON. I wasn't impressed whatsoever. Back then, this would have been 97, 98, 99. And back then, they were, if you were an experiencer, you were crap, and they were there to debunk you. And I heard that from other investigators.
And that's the truth. I go hear it out of my mouth. I'll say the same thing.
Right. But I'm sure you've heard of Roswell, Georgia. Now that place, Roswell, Georgia is a hotbed of alien UFO activity.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is. And, it's funny. There are spots, as we were mentioning, you mentioned earlier, I think it was you, Eric, that mentioned some of these strange areas that have everything going on at them or have geodes on the ground that cause some kind of anomalies or ley lines or all these things that are throughout this Earth, and there's these special spots that for some reason have these things. And one of my misfortunes is being involved in it and going into a lot of these cases. And when you see something like that, you don't forget about it. It's in your mind forever. I know that if you, the smell of a reptilian, the look of them, the whole 9 yards, it never leaves you.
When you're talking about a smell, what would you classify it as?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So first of all, there's a presence that comes to you, and you know exactly what you're dealing with. That was
right.
In both times that I encountered them, it was the same smell. I had never seen praying mantises in my life, I heard a high shrill, almost like a dog whistle, and that's when they left. So I don't know if it was another race that was actually protecting me, or if that came from them. But I looked down, and I had 6 baby praying mantises around my feet. And I'm like, oh my God, I ain't never seen a praying mantis, prior to that. But I got an instant pain in my gut. Like they were kind of like a psychic attack, without lack of a better way to describe it. But I could feel them, and the smell was like a cross between rotten flesh and sewer.
Okay.
Yeah. I would sometimes, I don't know, I've had some, when you steam broccoli and everything else, and you add the rotten flesh to it.
Right.
Because
it's like, wow.
when I have went into the woods in a couple different areas around here recently, being recently as 2019 forward, there's a smell that I've encountered in just certain, exactly the same area but different locations. It'll be within 200 yards of where I smelled the last one, and it's that Barry was saying, that kind of boiled broccoli, but with that sulfuric egg smell.
Yeah.
Was this by
because I was always curious. No, there's no caves in this area. It's all flat, open sage and pine wooded areas. With caves by the area, I always think about natural gases or something coming out of them that could smell like that. But the areas that I've noticed them in haven't been anything like that. The thing I do note is there won't be birds talking. There won't be deer around. It's desolate when the smell's around.
Yeah, you don't even hear a bug noise.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Over here, you usually hear the cicadas or whatever the little bugs are that hiss all the time up in the tree. And there's nothing. You can literally being close to 20 miles from town, and you can hear people honking when you normally couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
I love being out here in the woods, and they go completely silent.
Yeah.
Man, it just makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Oh, man.
That's when I always go, there's something out here that is so frightening to them that they shut up, because they're terrified of it themselves.
And whatever it was, the only time I've ever smelled something that just really piqued my interest, it was wet dog, rotten meat, and sulfur.
Mm-hmm.
And I've smelled that a couple of times around here, and man, it almost makes your eyes start to water. It's so pungent.
Joe, we need to know what gets your motor running.
But that's Bigfoot.
Yeah. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I love it.
I'm going to say, when Bigfoot gets terrified, that's when you need to be worried.
Right. Yeah.
To add to what he just said, that smell, I smelled several times when I used to work up at a friend's farm at night when what he would call the hellhounds and the bad Sasquatch were around.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've heard, exactly. I've been around when I know the Sasquatch come through. They didn't smell like that.
No,
I didn't smell anything. Well, but there's something else out here that just reeks, and it makes you go, It shuts everything up in the woods. It makes your eyes water, and your hair in the back of your neck stands up. I don't know what it is.
And this is coming from a guy who's been
I'm not sure I want to know.
But that's the thing. We've talked about this, on the show recently in the last month or two. I do think it's a kind of like a scent gland, like a skunk.
They can let it loose when they want to?
Yeah. I think I agree with that concept because, when I heard my tree knocks, I didn't smell anything. And I've heard that a lot. Some people talk about the smell they smell when he's around, and others, they have a rock tossed at them, but they don't smell anything. I think it's like an on-off switch. I mean, essentially. Like a skunk.
I played the rock game with them before out here, and, little rocks go skittering across in front of me, and I'll throw them back, and I never smell anything.
Right, right. That's why I would agree with the theory that I do think they have kind of like a scent gland that they can spray when they want.
So it could just be like a Bigfoot having a bad day.
He hasn't washed it in a week.
Really pissed off. He's having a bad day, man. Got a parking ticket.
Well, the hellhound thing.
No, he's got a Discover Pass.
With the smell of sulfur very badly. I don't know. I mean, and we've worked hellhound cases and been in these areas where they've been prevalent or have been seen by people, and that sulfur smell is just so intense that it's horrifying. I mean, it's just like it'll make you sick in 2 seconds. I mean, you don't want to be around that at all. It's like going, oh gosh.
Right.
It's bad.
So, Kayla, you have a question for tonight.
I do.
Before you ask your question, can I address Sherry's here quick?
Oh, sure.
So Sherry wants to know if we think Sasquatch wants to harm us. She says she doesn't think that. The thing is, Sherry, just like any other animal in the world, you start threatening their habitat,
right?
They are going to react. They, by nature, I believe they are very calm animals, but at the same time, look at what we're doing to their home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not only that, but like we were saying the other time, that if they have offspring or anything like that, they're going to protect theirs.
Yeah.
Oh, and she says she thinks most people go missing in the woods, probably bears or serial killers.
Sherry, don't tell my secrets.
Here's the thing. How many people go missing because they're just stupid? They don't pack properly or at all. They go up hiking because they want to get out of their house, and they're not ready for the mountains. And
either that or they go and they don't expect to come back.
Right. Well,
I agree with Eric. I think a lot of people out there are really stupid.
Oh, absolutely.
And when they disappear, they go, "Oh my God, they were a great hiker." No, they weren't.
No.
But as far as them wanting to harm us, I think it's a territory thing.
Yep.
Like I said, I'm out here. I live out here every day in the middle of them.
Yep.
They might go by once in a while. I don't bother them. They don't bother me. So I haven't disappeared yet. I have bears walk. I've had bears walk within 30 feet of me out here.
Mm-hmm.
They look at me and they go, I'm not hungry, and they just walk by.
Right.
But if something's hungry, or if you're doing something to upset them, they're going to attack you.
But that's with anything.
Yeah. They don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to go kill me a human.
Nope.
Sasquatch is known as the protector of the forest,
the
protector of women, children, and travelers. So,
right.
Yeah.
And I would agree
kind
with
of like
that.
a green man.
I would absolutely agree with that.
It's threatening, then that would absolutely make sense. As a mother, somebody messes with my children, I turn into a bear. Like it's
exactly.
Exactly.
To be fair, Joe, there's always that one asshole that does wake up in the morning like, I'm going to be a human.
Yeah, exactly. Just like people.
Look at Jeffrey Dahmer. Come on, we are humans.
Well, you guys know, I've got a deal up here with all my critters. It's like, look, you guys don't bother me. I'm not going to bother you. You can walk on through. You can eat the grass. Just don't bother me.
Like,
I'm not going to go hunting you. I'm not going to do anything to bother you. I can see you walking through, and everything's nice and calm up here.
And it doesn't matter what.
People that have bad experiences are those that are either loggers or hunters, and that's often because
Right.
Hunting
They're a threat.
Or if you're logging the trees out, you get a possessive, territorial Sasquatch for sure.
Yeah. And along with that, the couple of videos that I've seen where the people actually were chased by him were two women that actually walked into a structure that looked like it was created by a Bigfoot. And you just walked into his house. What do you expect?
Right.
Where there were two kids in actually Darrington that were shooting a BB gun and playing in the woods and got chased by one. And it's like, really? Well, you probably hit him. You don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, you were in his backyard, so of course he's going to chase you.
He's probably taking
or people running around on ATVs out there and they're making noise, scaring the little kids.
But as far as missing people, I don't think Bigfoot's going out there hunting humans.
You don't think that there's a grumpy Bigfoot just sitting out there going, "Get off my land"?
Well, there absolutely could be.
Well, here's the thing. It doesn't matter what
I do that every day.
Right.
It doesn't matter what species it is. There is always one.
Yep.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
One time when me and my dad were fishing, we had Dad caught a fish, and he seemed really well hooked. Mm-hmm. As soon as Dad had the pike, it was a northern pike, and once he had it in his hands, the fish spit the hook at Dad's face, and then jumped away.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, it's just like some of the different species of foot. I agree with the idea that he's here to protect the land and certain things, and other species. And right now in this time, I think that they're upset about humanity because of the stupidness of them. And if you don't heed their warnings, they're going to be very aggressive towards you. But here in this area, in some of the places that I've been, West Virginia has the Yahoo, the most. They wake up every morning and they just hate everything. Mm-hmm. They are just terrible. And
is that the same thing with the Dogman?
Dogman, same way. And so
no one's ever seen a Dogman just eating berries or looking at the sky. It's always something pissed off.
Yeah, and then the Ohio Grassman that's over by Salt Fork, he has got a temperament too that you just don't want to be around.
But Barry, very. If I lived in the South and it was furry, it's 150,000 degrees and I've got a fur coat on, I'm pissed off too.
Not just that, but
and the bugs.
The videos that they get of Dogman, or the pictures that they get of him in National Enquirer, I'd be pissed off too if that's the only pictures they ever got.
Well, okay,
right.
I think it has a lot to do with that whole nature versus nurture thing. Because if you have a group of Sasquatch that have just chilled out in the woods and anytime that they've run into a human, everything is cool. Mm-hmm. And if you have that one that has taught their kids that humans are bad because of the fact that they killed Grandpa or something like that, then you have that emotional connection to it too. So you're going to be raised differently to think differently.
Yeah. Or Dad Squatch wasn't around and Mom was working, so the kids kind of raised themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and this also comes from me being out in and around all different kinds of wildlife and working with a few different people, like a rehabber and stuff. There's, no matter what animal it is, it could be a deer, it could be cougar to a field mouse, like, there are even, like, the most peaceful animals, if you do mess with them in a certain situation, they will turn regardless of herbivore, carnivore, whatever, to defend themselves.
Like the quail up here. Yes.
Yes.
The murderous quail I have around here.
Did they get their swords back?
Oh, man, they got an attitude.
Gotta defend themselves against rats.
Right.
And rats beheaded them. We had no idea rats ate quail, but yeah, you live, you learn.
Joe, you need rats. That's the answer.
Oh, no. Rats are on my disappear list.
You get them the
I see one, it's gone.
You get them the little red robes, they'll get a couple turtles each, and they'll be fine.
Oh, come on, you could be the next Willard.
No, it's the
I put little guillotines out for the rats.
All right, so Kayla, what's your first question tonight?
Okay, so I study all kinds of weird stuff just because that's
absolutely.
who I am. Okay, so I got on a little kick about rakes here a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Not you.
And there's this new theory out that says that they're amphibians. So
rakes?
Yes, that a rake is an amphibian.
They're what?
Amphibians.
Amphibians.
Uh-huh. That they are kind of like a frog, but like an evil frog. So I'm just...
frog.
That's true, though. When I throw my rake in the water, it's fine. The shovel dies immediately.
Right.
So I wanted to know you guys' thoughts on that. Do you think a rake could be an amphibian?
It could be an amphibian, but for me, I always pictured the rake as a chud, the cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller.
Good
Something that lives down in the caves, comes out once in a while. That's why they're so pale. And, they'll just eat whatever they can, a human, a rat, quail.
Mm-hmm.
But,
a Joe.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
A Joe. And yeah, I just...
Weird...
Go ahead, Barry.
Go ahead, Eric. No, well, all right. I kind of think that lately, you hear these theories, all this changes, but I think that there is something going on with the energies, the frequencies, all of the different changes. There are things that are waking up, or we're seeing different things. I'm not too sure. This thing that I mentioned earlier with the hairy thing, small, 6-foot kind of guy-looking thing, not massively built like a dog man or a Bigfoot or anything else, but with rake-like features, something new. Same thing with amphibious rakes. Maybe there is something that's similar to that, but what's causing it to, all these things that are coming out and being seen, is it the energies that are changing and they're all coming up and walking around because there is something that's going to be happening in the future, some kind of event that is going to happen that's going to change everything?
Well, yeah, they're all getting ready to take over the planet when we all move to Mars.
Woo!
Right.
Freedom! Hey, okay, so...
Well, couldn't the thing with the amphibian rakes, couldn't it just be like the chupacabra? I mean, you have the original one from Puerto Rico. It's kind of a reptile. Mm-hmm. It's a spiky reptile, weird-looking thing. It's a goat sucker. That's why they call it chupacabra. Then all of a sudden, everyone in Texas sees a mangy dog, and they say, "Oh, chupacabra!" So they're throwing the same name on two different things.
Oh, okay, I got
That could be the deal with the rake.
Yeah, because I attribute the rake mostly to Barry's description of they mostly come out of a cave system. Amphibians,
underground.
I don't see amphibians coming from a cave.
Frogs come from caves sometimes.
Some of them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
What about this? What if, like, this new 5G technology that is ground penetrating, and something's happening on that level with a rake that is transforming? That's why they're coming out. Like, our people are seeing them as amphibians, or they are in a spot that has an underground pond, lake or whatever.
I was just gonna go with that too because, if this new 5G stuff can penetrate into the ground, and it's creating like a wavelength or a sound that can disturb them. Like the whales when they were doing the sonar testing in the ocean, they recoursed their thousands of years migratory path to get around it. So if we're penetrating a sound down to something that's normally, underground, and now it's coming up, it may be trying to adapt to a damper location, so it would be more amphibious to keep, the skin or whatever its main diet is there with it.
That's a good point. Maybe it's because the neighbors upstairs are making so much noise and disturbing us, we're going to go up and see what they're doing.
I like
that's why they're showing up.
I like Tim's answer in the chat room. He says it's CERN. And I can almost.
I
can almost agree with that.
Harmony, what were you going to say?
Yeah.
So can I. I can almost.
That,
great answer, Tim.
You know, it's like it could be environmental that some caves have water in them, some caves don't. So it could be that some are amphibious and some aren't, just because of the environments that they needed to adapt to, right?
And that's a good point.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Because every cave that I've ever known about has normally been made by water. Mm-hmm. And in this area here, being so close to Mammoth and everything else, and water runs through every cave that I've ever been in, there's water. And what happens when it rains? You better get out of there before you drowned. Right. So, yes.
Kentucky has more caves than trees.
Yeah, that's true. And sinkholes and everything else. So, it all leads to the same thing.
So,
great point.
Sherry asked a question here in the chat room, but I'm going to change it up just a little bit to include everybody here. So, does your significant other or your family or anybody that's close to you ever get worried about attachments or things that you could be bringing home or things that you are doing in the field of the paranormal?
And if we're on video, you would see Cole's reaction.
My family's always been worried about bring home. Nothing paranormal, but
I have issues with it. Kayla's one of those people who leaps before she looks.
Well, that's why Kayla doesn't go out with us.
She
might bring it.
She
might intentionally go, here, come here, black-eyed child.
Yeah,
follow us home. No, hell, that don't work. Stay the hell up. No. So in answer to that, with FMP for 7 years active every day. No, my family, no, because we were heavily protected, both with shields around the property, the safety protocols we had on the team. So, not really. Barry.
Yeah, and for me, I've been married now. May 18th will be 20 years, and I think when my wife knew what I did and everything else, and at the start she was very concerned about me bringing things home, and I did bring things home. I brought a kid home, and he lives in the other room now. I just wanted to do that. Got pictures, the whole 9 yards. I kept him in the garage for a while to make sure he's going to behave. And then, like Eric says also, we are very protected. I have things set up around this house and everything else, but still things do pop in and do visit. And then with the other things, with the UFOs and that, I've been an abductee most of my life. She's seen some bizarre things, and she's had some experiences which make you always concerned or worried. And then she's always coming up going, now what have you done, or what have you said, because we got something weird going on outside, some people driving by, or SUVs outside and everything else. So it's an ongoing thing.
And that's why, honestly, your greater threats are human more than paranormal. Yes. There are threats in the paranormal, don't get me wrong, but if you're prepared for them and you're protected, you're fine. But honestly, a good 80% of your threats are actually from the talking monkeys, not from the paranormal side.
Right. True.
But again, the longer you're in this field, the more cases you take, the more entities you fight and deal with, the more enemies you make on the paranormal side. So you have to be ready for them.
Oh, that is so true, and that's so true, and a great point, because when you do battle, they don't forget you. And they do not, and they are always constantly coming around trying to do it. So you have to be extremely protective.
I can hear the discussion on the other side going, "Oh, God damn it, that team's coming back." No,
Yeah.
Yeah. That means we better leave now. And yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure, you did a lot of stuff, Ashford and everything else, but you still get out a lot, and they know you. They, you're what we called marked, if you will, in a way.
Yeah.
You are. They can affect. These things can go anywhere, anytime, do anything. I mean, they're not just in that house all the time that you're trying to investigate. They'll come to you. They can affect your travel to and from. They, they do a lot
too.
Right, the communications, cell phones, all that stuff, and it's just one of those things. And most people, that's why a lot of the paranormal teams like to go to the stay away from the residentials, because you never know what you're going to get when you walk into a residential.
But again, Barry, I encourage him to stay the hell away from the residentials, because if they don't know what the hell they're doing, they make things worse.
Excellent, and I agree with you. But there's always, one time or two times, and you and I have both seen this, Eric.
Over and over again.
Yeah, somebody gives them a residential hunt, and they get in there, and it's like going, "Oh crap!"
Yeah, no, not all crap. They're the ones that scream like little girls and run away.
Exactly. But then what happens? They call you or me.
Yep, I know it. So we have about 10 minutes left for our second break. Cole, what's your question for tonight?
Okay, this one might actually end up going into.
No, that's fine.
We'll
We'll carry it on into the third hour.
Okay, guys. Is it possible that when we are dreaming, we end up in some sort of dreamscape that could be considered as near astral? So we are walking between the planes.
Yes, in my opinion.
Now, the reason I'm asking this is because recently I've had a dream for 2 years that I have had quite a few times now. And I honestly believe it is a past life trying to make itself known.
And that could be possible. That could be very possible. That happens a lot.
It is a road that I've never been on.
Okay.
But it's fitting in towns I know in the wrong order on this road.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I actually think it's where this past life ended.
That's where you died.
I would.
Yes.
Yep.
I found the road.
Wow.
It's in Siberia.
Siberia.
Yeah.
Siberia?
You were Siberia.
The reason I know this is because the incline on this road, at the very top edge of it, because you start going up a hill, is 85 degrees.
Ooh.
Wow.
And then it flattens out again. I found one road in the world that does that.
Huh.
And until 1950, it wasn't paved.
Then it's very possibly a past life coming through.
And that's how I died, is I got almost to the top and the vehicle died and it slid sideways and it rolled back down.
You rolled.
So what do you know what type of vehicle, or do you just see like the road?
The van.
Okay, so you're in like a modern day
that's it's mixing things, because you're there, the kids are there until we get to the bottom of the road, then they disappear. You're there until we start to roll, and then you disappear. And mist away.
Interesting.
So
it's like
on my experience with my astral dreaming or plane shifting, that to me, from the research that I have done personally, is a cross memory. So you're there not in a full body sense, but you're having your past life being brought to you now in your current life. So your current life would theoretically flash before your eyes as your past life was passing away. And that's what he can remember at that crash. So your current life, you see your family, your achievements, that kind of thing. But your past life was thinking of how terrified it was to, have the car die and then crash down the hill.
things don't make sense in it because, like, the bottom of the hill is Bellingham, Washington. At the top of the hill, probably like 2 miles away, is Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
1,700 miles apart,
right?
So
yeah, but in an astral plane, they're almost together,
right? And especially with astral, you're like, if you had a heavy memory, even if it was something as a young child that happened in Bellingham that you might not remember, that can come up in a astral dreamscape.
Yeah, no, I see, and that's the thing. But, well, the only thing I can think of is like that's where we first moved when I came to Washington. But before that, I had never been here.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't truly believe Washington existed. Thought it was one of those weird things that people just lie about. I think the same thing. Don't think it's because I'm a Canadian, because I think the same thing about Manitoba, because I've never been there, and I think the people that say they're from there just lie. Right?
But yeah, I would have to go with it's keep track of it, because it could be your a past life memory coming through.
I don't like it. I hate that feeling.
We'll do a reading.
What?
No.
Can we use lots of mirrors?
No.
Yeah.
No.
They'll all be facing each other.
Oh, awesome, guys.
In the center.
I'm going to go hang out in the cave system.
Okay. Bring
Hey,
a red
you
coat.
know, I have I had a question that was one of the five I have down here, but it kind of pertains to this, and I'd just like to get your thoughts on it real quick, because it's in that play. You know, with people who
You have
have
5 questions.
yeah, it's amazing. You know,
teacher's pet.
the empathic people and the sensitives. I know one that has, and she's had a very strange experience, and some of the ones that are out there currently are seeming veiled and also having very strange experiences. And her experiences has been that, normally they're not used to seeing through someone else's eyes. They are seeing, she had this dream of something that was through another person's eye, experiencing her life through her eye. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
If I remember, it's called a divinated recorded memory from someone in a family or past life.
Well, this person actually is alive.
Okay.
And what's really bizarre about it is that she had contacted me for coming out and looking at a paranormal investigation. And I've been talking with her, but we haven't set anything up, and I haven't let anybody in the team know. And the next thing I know, here's this conversation from a lady that's an older lady, and her husband passed, and this lady is seeing and feeling her pain, feeling everything through her own eyes, and seeing exactly what's going on. She mentioned about doors opening and everything else, and she actually saw the doors open. She's seeing everything through her own things. And I just thought that was the strangest thing. You know, I've been hearing so many different things with psychics that have. There's something going on in the psychic world or the medium world right now that is bringing different things forward. That is that you normally don't hear about, because normally you don't deal with it in a first person thing where you're actually living in another person's life and seeing through their eyes.
You see yourself.
There is a thing in the sensitive world that is called pain sharing.
Yes,
okay?
I have that with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So anytime, yeah, you go ahead and explain that, Harmony.
Well, for me, it may be different for other people, but like I will get this stabbing pain, and it's like this achy, weird, different pain, and it will just like hit me somewhere where it shouldn't. I shouldn't have pain there. And then I look over, because I do caregiving for my disabled mother, and I'll look over at my mom, and she's in this weird position where I'm like, hey, Mom, is this spot right here? Or sometimes I don't even say anything, but I'll touch her right there. And she's like, how'd you know that hurt right there? And I was like, well, I'm feeling your pain. And it happens to my husband because I had broken elbows. And sometimes I get this weird achy thing in my elbow. And I'm just like, and it's just different
and that's common with twins.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
That's the same description with twins, where one twin will be thousands of miles away, fall and break a leg, and the other twin will actually feel it.
Yes.
Pain sharing is a good terminology for that.
With pain sharing, there are certain people who have the psychic ability and the sensitive ability and the empath ability.
That's the definition of empath right there.
They are not only sharing the person's physical pains, they're sharing and pulling from their emotional pains. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people that will help you get over your emotional pains by stepping into your shoes and seeing through your eyes.
Yes.
And sometimes it will happen without you making it happen.
Right.
It'll just happen because that person is in so much emotional pain that it passes through like the airwaves and you pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You know, we can see that when we go into Walmart. Like, oh God.
They talk about enlightenment and how in order to find enlightenment, you must find understanding. In order to find understanding, you must find compassion. And usually in order to find compassion, you need to understand other experiences. Mm-hmm. And so, like, when we are able to tap into somebody else's emotional pain, physical pain, or, you know, even a time that existed in their life through our own eyes or through our own body, through our own sensory receivers, then we are able to have those experiences ourselves without having to go through them. And then we're able to, like, gain a higher understanding of compassion and also activate our own DNA and our own abilities and such.
I agree with that 100%. You know, and it's all going towards the thing of unconditional love and unconditional forgiveness. Right. You know, that brings it together. Have you ever heard of anything that's called the event? Have you heard of that?
That we're in right now, or the Flash?
This new one we're into. This new thing. Has anybody else heard of it? It's kind of, it deals with that whole thing, but it deals with aliens and everything else. So who knows?
Yeah, it's about exercising our ability to stand in unconditional love instead of falling into our fear space.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
Because through fear is a place where we can be controlled and manipulated. And when we stand in unconditional love, we have understanding of one another. And we stand in our true power. We can't be manipulated or controlled the same way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes hand in hand with, like, entities, like we were talking about with, like, ghosts. Like, I love that you said that you have shields, because that would have been my answer. And I smudge a lot of things as well with, you know, things that come into our home. If I feel something on it, or just, you know, if it sits in my home for a long time and I find something strange on it, I'll get rid of it. So, you know, it's important connection to the aspect of it and how you are approaching that life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So with trees and fungus and stuff, there's that microbial. I cannot pronounce that.
Mycelium.
Yes, sorry. There we go. Connection that they have. Mm-hmm. Okay, where they will, if a tree is like cut down, then all of the trees of the forest will put energy into that tree to make it so that it can still live, to regrow, to add regrowth to the trees.
Right.
And I believe, honestly, that humans have that as well. But not necessarily through the ground, more through consciousness. And that we all are connected by this force, and that we can pull, and that we can heal, and we can do these things for other people. And I believe the catalysts to that are like your empaths and stuff, who will be able to take the energies from the collective and push them onto the one person who really needs it in that moment.
It's that connected net, like 100 monkey effect, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, with that, it is time for our second break. And when we come back, we will carry on. And Daniel, you're up after break.
All right, here
Sweet.
we go.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S4 for final hour of the show tonight. Tonight is our May Roundtable. And Daniel, what's your question for third hour?
So my questions for Barry, due to new comings of my dreams I've been having in an astral sense. As I think Eric may know, there was a new addition to part of my dream where there was a new entity that showed up. Fairly Wendigo remnants kind of feeling from it. But there's also a new... I have never been able to get a good look at it, but from the descriptions of what I was hearing about the Dogman or something similar to that, it's sounding like that's kind of tied into what this thing may be. Because when I've seen it... the other entity will leave instantly. Like, it'll look off in a direction and just disappear as this other thing comes kind of gaggly through a little valley for a split second. All I can see is these long arms and torso kind of just, like, oddly out of place, and it just looks at me with, like, these... I couldn't even say eyes, but, like... just a weirdly colored, like, darker red or brown, and just leaves.
Does it scare you?
It gives me, like, when I've seen it in a dream, I almost wake up instantly. Like, and it's difficult for me to leave an astral dream. Like, and like, the immense energy that comes from it is, like, bewildering.
Well, it's like the silver cord brings you back because you just are like automatically going to come back when you're have that kind of intense experience, and you're going to be like, whoop, and hit your body pretty quickly. Because
like, I've had a few good instances with different paranormal, like that time at the cabin with the apparition and stuff like that, and none of them have ever given me the feeling like this.
Was that the one in the drawing that you sent Arnold?
Yes.
Okay.
So the one that I sent in the drawing is like the more Wendigo or something of that matter.
You're like an alien
Wendigo,
face
Skinwalker,
with ram horns.
So what it is he's wearing like a buffalo style mask on his face. He's got some sort of a webbing with different ornaments, a feather, and a bow with some arrows. And every time I've seen him, he's always kept a distance from me, but he's always like watching where I'm going. Because I can't really go too far from the main area where he's at, because then I'll see the other creature down below.
Sounds like almost sounds like a Manitou type of an entity, and Manitous are in everything, but depending on your beliefs, but Manitous are a spiritual energy that can do that and form into that type of thing. But the other kind of creature, if it's a dog man or a wolver or whatever, they're extremely masculine. Dog men, everything seems to be afraid of a dog man. I don't know what it is, but they just have a evil and mean intent. Yeah, I've never heard anybody say anything great about. I had a great experience with a dog man. I came up and I petted him. No.
Yeah.
And everything else. Everything else kind of respects it, but it's normally a very big and crazy thing. That's why when I was out Monday and Wednesday in these cases, we're working these cases, I was shocked to hear about a smaller type being with the long things, and walking through the woods gave me a different kind of experience because I was looking for tracks and everything or something that I could find.
So when you say smaller, do you mean like
6 foot tall? 6 foot tall. Average man size. I mean, nothing.
So this thing
must have been. The true dogmen are extremely muscular, strong type entities, almost like a wolver. I mean, they could be extremely large, 7 to 10 feet tall, and massive. The build is just massive.
But wouldn't a smaller version of that, couldn't it just be its offspring? Like it hasn't grown into a full-fledged dog man yet?
Yeah, a puppy man. I don't know. I don't. The reason why this is so different to me, what was described to me, is because of the elongated arms hanging down to the side and the extremely long finger-like claws that, in some of the cases, in the one that we look at in LBL back in the 1980, 82, I think it was, where the trailer was, people were killed in a trailer, has a very small opening of a door and everything else, but they were mutilated horrendously. And I just went immediately to start thinking about what these claws could do. And,
Ew, so like a rake and a dog man can get together and make a freaky baby thing.
Yeah, kind of like. Well. If I know anything, Kayla, you're gonna have the pet if it is. I mean,
absolutely.
It's gonna be your new favorite.
So when you're talking about that, is it relative? Like from what people have said, is it relative to like what a bear claw would be in a sense, like 2 to 3 inches on that aspect?
5 to 6 inches long.
Okay.
So more like a chicken spur?
Yeah, like a, you know how a rake's hand looks, and they have that long, like Freddy Krueger type? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is more like what they're talking about.
Okay.
What was that, Harmony?
Oh, like a wolverine has protruding claws, like kind of they like come out and curve. And then in my research, I found that the Wendigo is often like a skinwalker, and in that respect, a shaman that has done very, very, very dark things and has turned into a walking dead. And in that respect, it's usually encountered as a very skinny, usually wearing a hide of some sort. And when I saw Dogman, I didn't know what I saw. And the explanation that I gave to my godmother when we got to her house, because it was my mom and I driving to her house, to my godmother's house, and she said, "Oh, well, that sounds like a Wendigo." So for years I was like, "Oh, maybe I saw a Wendigo." And then it wasn't until about 5 years ago then the Dogman phenomenon started to hit my eyes and ears on different platforms on the internet. And that's when I was like, wow, that is totally more like what I saw than any explanation of a Wendigo that I heard, right? So in that respect, it's definitely a different being from the different explanations over the different cultures that I've heard.
Right, totally different. You know, when you talk about the Wendigo and what you were mentioning earlier, a shaman that has done bad things, and normally to become Wendigo, you have to kill one of your family members. Yeah. So, you know, that is a terrible thing. Skinwalkers. Skinwalker, different area, and then, like I mentioned, the Manitou type entity is very spiritual and normally a better one. There can be some nasty ones out there, but they're normally highly skilled in their magi, if you will.
Yeah, and they can shapeshift as well. So maybe that's
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why they're commonly mistaken.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Harmony,
it's interesting. Harmony mentioned the Wolverine.
Right.
I've never seen a Dogman, but I was on a trail in Colorado a couple years back, and I came across a Wolverine, and it was maybe standing 30 feet in front of me on the trail, growling and spitting at me. And I outweighed this thing by 200 pounds, and I wouldn't have wanted to go anywhere near it.
Yeah, they're the most fierce creatures in the world.
It would have torn me to pieces. Yeah, I just backed up. It followed me down the trail a little bit, and then it went off into the bush. But, like I said, I outweighed it by 200, but then if something is as mean as that outweighs me by 300-400 pounds, I'm terrified.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't want to see a Dogman.
Well, Wolverines have been documented to take down a moose. So,
yeah. Up in Michigan, the Wolverine state. Let me tell you something. When we were out there, those are something you do not want to come against. They are just bad-ass animal. They have an attitude.
And I didn't have a pointy stick with me or anything.
What?
The crow took him.
The pointy stick king.
Yeah.
You had no pointy sticks? Come on now.
I didn't think I'd need it.
You always.
I was digging up dinosaur bones, man.
But right now in this period of this shift and this energy and frequency changes, whatever's coming out, whatever's being seen, and astrally, if it was during an astral shift, good God, you don't know what you're dealing with, because you're going through different planes, different things, and also you go back into a day when things were totally different and there were more things, and unfortunately they do still exist, and they can come back in through gates and so forth like that to and interfere with you. So,
well, there's a lot of people that say that the ancient ones have started to wake, so we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah. I mean, you don't want to play with the ancient bones. That's one of the bad things. You need to leave them awake. You need to leave them asleep. If they're resting, they'll wake up when they're supposed to. But gosh, don't want any early risers.
Okay. So let's see, Harmony. What's your second question?
So let's see. That can kind of go into one of my questions is, what's your favorite ancient connection of ETs and star beings, or like one that you resonate with most, like one that like kind of was your red pill?
I'm gonna be blunt. I don't like any of them. I'll leave it at that. I don't really care for extraterrestrials.
Oh, come on.
What?
Marvin the Martian is not that bad. I mean, yes, he tries to blow us up every once in a while, but hey.
I'm going to leave it at that. I don't,
But for me, I'll go with some of the ancient alien stuff that they come up with. That just absolutely fascinates me. You see places like Machu Picchu. I mean, there are places all around the globe that there are constructions that there's no way we could do them today, let alone 5,000 years ago, or at all.
The one that actually weirded me out, and I don't like to confirm ancient aliens on any frickin' level at all. But
I'm not talking about the show. I'm talking about the general idea of it.
I can't remember where it is, but there is a building that has beautiful architecture built into it, and one of the murals that's made out of marble actually has a guy in a spacesuit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That weirds me the hell out.
I would have to say my favorite ancient connection would be the talk about Vimanas and the different stuff with all of that.
Oh, yeah.
There is so much over there that is
India is a very ancient place, and they talk about the Vimanas, and they don't pull no bones about it. They believe it.
Yeah,
there were people that came down from somewhere else, and they hung out and they had wars, they had flying machines.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all history.
And everything that they talk about, and they have it written from their holy books to architecture, everything.
Right.
Everything that they have has a connection, has an ET connection to it, and it's just amazing how much information they actually have.
I'll change my answer. I think if there is a connection, it'd be with Sirius and Dog Star, with some of the native tribes that I've actually talked about the Dog Star.
The Dogon.
Yeah.
Doggone, yeah. Big time, and going all the way back to, Samaria and some of the other things. But, when you, there are different types of, so many different types of races. And I do believe there's been several of them that have come here. And one of the things I think is most important that we don't realize is that our daily life here on this planet is not normal life that is practiced in this universe, with certain beings. So, and I think that there is a highly spiritual, several different races that are highly spiritual in many ways, and are looking to do wonderful things and change and help us. But I'm not one of those type of people that are just waiting and saying, "Oh, please come and help us, help us," because you have to help yourself to be able to change. Also, there's a personal experience to be able to reach that thing. But the aliens, like Eric said, there are some that are I don't care for too much because for many thousands of years they've been on this planet doing terrible things to human beings and influencing the way the life is. And then the other ones were basically shunned from this area, and I think that there's a battle going on between the ones that were allowed here and the ones that are not.
Like a prime directive thing where, the dark ones went against the prime directive not to contact us, and then the other ones were, not. They were abiding by the prime directive, and now the prime directive's been lifted, so it's the whole new ball we're dealing with.
Yeah, exactly, honey, exactly. And it's a very slippery slope, if you will, and where we go is a tricky spot.
Ghost train.
Yeah, it's back. Sorry,
it's
folks. I don't know what's going on tonight with the trains, but yeah.
It's an alien train.
It is.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think of the ancient aliens side of it. I look more at current events kind of stuff where, when you have aliens that are abducting and whatnot, I'm just not looking at good races. You hear about the Pleiadians and how wonderful they are, and the Lyrans and some of the other races. They might be great. Don't get me wrong, but my angle with it has kind of gone to the negative side with it.
Yeah. And interesting. You mentioned the Dog Star, and you also mentioned Sirius and Sirius. Say B and C, and not too many people know about Sirius C.
No.
But
you can't say, well, I'm just going to look at the current stuff and not look at the history.
No,
I mean, there's a lot of crazy theories out there and a lot of personal experiences, but they've been here for a long time. Mm-hmm. You can't ignore all of it. You just got to group it all into one big bowl of salad and mix it up and see what you get.
Well, look at it the way, and I kind of, I get your point, Joe, but I kind of go with Eric on this one because of the fact that the ones that we have been dealing with for a long time, thousands of years are not the good ones. We shunned in the
tables
40s.
But you have to know your history.
We had an opportunity to be able to do this, and it's taken so many more years, and all this darkness has come through all this to get us to the point where now we're at the breaking point. And
you're absolutely right with the war that's going on. I think the tables turned 1,000 years ago with the negative races that are coming down, but ideally the ancient races that do have the betterment of mankind in their scope, that maybe helped create the planet, helped create the human race. Ideally, they would have the betterment of mankind. We'll see.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that.
But we're relying on alien war that happened 1,000 years ago, or that changed 1,000 years ago. Did we not change? We kind of changed the deal on them. We worshipped them back then.
Right.
Now, and then let's just go back into the last 2,000 years. We treated them like shit.
Yeah.
You go back to the last 50
We've been throwing rocks
years,
at them.
and we are absolutely the worst thing in the universe.
And I would agree.
Correct. We are a warring planet. We are a warring people. We
you
are
think of, what Hitler
separated
used to win
people.
the war
We don't use any of our abilities that we have.
Understand, though, the alien races that are going on have nothing to do with humankind. These are alien races that have been fighting each other. We're just caught up in the damn crossfire of it.
But what I'm saying is, how do we know that 1,000 years ago we didn't change, or they didn't change? That didn't happen.
Right.
We did.
We changed.
And that could be possible.
Possible.
Think about it. 1,000 years ago, before 1,000 years ago, being a witch or a pagan wasn't a bad thing. But now, after the 1300s, everything different is bad.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
Okay. So wouldn't that include
social conditioning? It's all social conditioning. It's all about how people perceive and what people do, and it's the dumbing. And I hate to say it, it's the dumbing down of people where the masses are more willing to agree with lunacy.
Well, isn't it possible that there might have been some alien races that were very benevolent and they wanted nothing good for us, but over 1,000 to 10,000 years, they've changed their mind and they've kind of said, these guys are kind of dicks.
Okay. If you do,
we changed, they changed.
The planet changed. I mean,
that's what it said, though. If you do prescribe to the ancient astronaut theories and all of that jazz, then if you think about it from their point of view, I'm just saying, okay, they come down to Earth, they are basically our gods at that point, according to the ancient astronaut theory. And they give us technology, they give us information, they teach us, they help enhance our race, they help push us towards the future, all of these things.
And then we turn on them.
Okay? And then we get to a point where we're like, you know what? That green dude up there, I'm just going to shoot him.
Yeah, because all he had was a lighter. He wasn't really magic. He had a lighter. I've got a lighter now. I mean,
exactly. So if you think about it,
boomsticks.
If you think about it in the same sense that we think about all civilizations, okay? At some point, you get to the point where you think of, just like a kid might get to that point where they're like, you know what? I'm an adult now. I can do what I want. My parents can't tell me what to do. So you got that same mentality with all civilization where they get to a point where they're like, you know what? I'm top shit. And I'm not going to take it from anybody. I don't care. So it's like the rebellion. It's a war with... Oh, God, how do I put that? It is not so much a war with weapons, but
the war of the will.
A war of...
We're not going to worship them anymore. We're going to try to elevate ourselves to be equals, and to do that, we got to fight them.
Yep.
But
Well,
see,
you
that's-
have to
It's like a
fight
teenage boy and his dad.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
have to fight the evil that's here or whatever else is around you and be open to it. But we've destroyed so much of so many things that we need, if you will, goddess renewal, where we look at the whole thing, and I think that's the biggest point, you know.
But who's to say
And I don't
that
think
our
that's gonna
perception?
happen.
Who's to say that our perception?
Well, that's all
of
good,
evil
but I'm not
is
going to bow
wrong?
down to an alien race just because they got better technology than me.
Oh,
No.
absolutely. But I'm saying, who's to say that our perception of evil isn't wrong? That they created us or whatever, according to that, and we're rebelling against them, we're coming, we're attacking them, everything else. So let's say we take that into modern day, and we experimented on some form of animal, okay? And then that animal got intelligence, and it got smarter and smarter and started building and everything, and it tried to take us out because that's the way the world works. You rebel against anything that tells you
It's
you
a
can't
dog
do
man
what
eat
you
dog
want.
man world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dog man, me Bigfoot.
Well, you know,
Yep.
for me through past lives and whatever thousands of lifetimes, I think that I have a disdain about reptilians for some reason, and they all taste like chicken, you know. So
More like alligator.
yeah, right. So you
Cold-blooded
know,
fish,
it's kind of
Everything tastes like chicken.
chicken. It does.
Except for chicken.
I've eaten rattlesnake plenty of times, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Got it myself.
So now we're just gonna barbecue the reptilian.
Yeah, why not?
All
Why
right.
not?
I'm up for it.
Well, we're gonna have. I mean,
Reptilian
if everything goes the way
If they eat
that
us, why not?
people talk about food shortages and everything else, you might as well go to the local
Alien market.
cave system and pull up a reptilian now and then.
Oh, man.
I can't believe it's not alien.
That's
Oh,
exactly.
my God. I tell you, that recipe would be out of this world.
The other white meat. There we go.
No, the other red meat.
Yes.
Joe, what's your next question?
Well, I had a couple here. I was going to talk about the new UFO video that came out by the Navy. I had big questions about that, but I'll save that for another time. And then I was also going to. I'd been watching Barry's Into the Fire show, and I noticed that everybody in the chat room is a female. And I was wondering if he had a harem. But my question right now is because it's something that's right. And I'm sitting here right now, and I'm watching huge lightning strikes off the east. So I want to know your thoughts on what happens to the veil, or whatever you want to call it, or when the air is just absolutely charged with electricity. Do things come across more often or not? I'm watching the massive lightning strikes right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You can feel it. Like, it makes my whole body charged, and I've had a lot of different heightened experiences when, you know, the ions shift like that.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And I was the same way. And when doing paranormal investigations or any type like that, when you're involved with that, or any type of spiritual or energy, you are going to find that it picks up immensely. I mean, the best thing that you could be is at a paranormal investigation when it starts lightning outside, because things are going to change. You know, you're going to see a lot
The
more
Fox
stuff.
just walked up.
It's probably
Fox just
one of
walked
the same
up.
thing.
What is
But,
it?
But yeah, I'm thinking all these lightning strikes. Plus, I'm up here in the Sierras in California, and it's all granite, which has a lot of quartz in it. And these lightning strikes are hitting, and they're energizing that quartz, and I'm wondering what kind of effect that has.
Right. Well, it's going to have a massive effect, you know, and
You know, Tesla works a lot with that kind of energy.
exactly. And that's the one thing of almost like free energy and what it can be converted into. But, you know, it does change the veil. I think right now the veil's kind of, I think some of the people that I work with, and even I could even say this about myself, I feel like for the last 2 weeks or so, I've been veiled more than normal. You know, like they don't want me to see certain things, you know, almost in a protection way. But yeah, the energies do change so much with lightning, and also what they're putting into the atmosphere nowadays. If you buy into that and weather modification and all the other things, it's scary times, folks. I mean,
like you just mentioned it, the modification. Last fall, we had those lightning strikes. I was watching them. It was lightning, but it was coming straight down. Straight down. It was not like any lightning, and it started. One of them I watched. It started a fire that took out 1.4 million acres.
Yeah.
I mean, these lightning strikes were massive.
So it makes me wonder too, because you know, Sherry's comment in the chat room actually brings up a good point. The same with limestone, you know, energy. So it would make me wonder if there's certain, you know, we know granite, for example, has a lot to do with the missing 401 cases.
Yeah.
Does that have anything to do with ions, or, you know, your lightning strikes? Is it in the same mineral areas?
Is it possible that the energy, like from lightning strikes, energizes the quartz, which gets a vibration going, which maybe opens a portal or thins the veil or something, and something comes through? Maybe. Could.
I think it very well could have an impact, so to speak.
Well, you know, when you talk about ions and that kind of stuff, I was surprised because at one point I was working on a device. You know, you see ion detectors and everything else out there now, but we converted one of those more EMF and looked at ions, and I was using it for abduction scenarios, and it's amazing what ion energy can do, because it can turn into almost pure positive energy very quickly, and can charge dead batteries, can do all kinds of different things, you know. Ions are something that we really need to look at more, especially within the paranormal, you know. Static and all that is very important.
Well, it's the same way, you know, they did a scientific study on sage. You know, there's certain minerals and plants that can do the change the ions. You burn sage, it changes the ions of energy to positive, which is which is why they say, you know, and I think that's it. I agree, sage can clear a location, hands down. But my problem with it is everybody and their brother says, "Oh yeah, you got a haunting, take sage and smudge." No, you need to find out the root of, and I say this every time we talk about this on the show. You need to find the root cause of your paranormal issue. You don't just run in with sage right away. You got to find out what's there and why, and address that. Then you sage.
Yeah, you know, it's like what you and I always talk about in the past, and one of my comments is that if you don't know what you're doing, there are entities that just happen to love sage. So you better add something to your sage, folks.
Well, rosemary, for example.
Right, exactly.
What were you saying, Harmony?
Oh, I was just saying exactly what you're saying. Some entities enjoy the sage; they're attracted by the sage, or you know, they're and it creates that different relationship where you're, like you said, it puts it into a negative ion or a positive ion state, and what we really want as humans is a negatively charged state, and you can do that by burning another kind of smudging herb like Palo Santo or cedar or sweet
Right.
Right.
Cedar is very healing and very protective. So yeah, you mix sage with cedar and limestone, you have a stronger element there.
Yeah.
And it's like each kind of fae has a different offering, and sometimes it's not about like defending yourself against an entity, but sometimes you just want to leave an offering and just show respect because they could be your ancestors, they could be the fae.
So much. Right? Yeah, very good point.
That's why you need to get to the root and figure out what you're dealing with before you just face it.
Yeah, go out and start grabbing a sage stick.
And that's why it drives me nuts. I go into paranormal groups on Facebook and someone's describing an event they're dealing with, and you have 11 billion people going, oh, you need to call a preacher. Oh, you need to get sage. No, you don't. You got to find out what you're dealing with.
I like Sherry's idea.
And you know what?
Paranormal investigations, we should just burn weed and use the spirits to be happy.
Everybody's happy then.
Right. Well, you know what most people don't understand is there's different types of sage. There's black sage, there's white sage, there's all kinds of different types of sages.
Right.
And they all do different things, and most people just grab a stick and say, "Oh, that's sage. That's good. That's great to go for." So.
It also depends.
I've got an antique cedar chest here in the garage. Should I just set that thing on fire?
Yeah.
Sure. Hell yeah, it'd work.
You gotta take it around the room though while it's on fire.
Carry it around the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah. Put your bunker gear on first so you don't burn up with it. So we're coming down to the last 20 minutes of the show. What do we got on Into the Fire this week, Barry?
I've got a great show with another radio host, Kat Hobson, and I'm looking forward to having Kat on, and we'll be talking about everything and seeing what she's got going on. And she's just a fantastic person and a great friend. So, really looking forward to that one.
Excellent. And Harmony, you have a book. Tell us a little bit about your book and where to find it.
Yeah, my book is called Birthing a New Paradigm, and it is a new book I just published just over a year ago, and it is a part autobiographical, part instruction manual on my journey to ascension and raising my consciousness through different struggles that I've gone through in my life and different lessons that I've learned, and kind of giving some insight to things that may help other people on their journey as well. And I go into a lot of the stuff we talked about today. I go into synchronicity. I go into the 100th monkey effect. I go into a lot of the stuff that is, kind of occult and forbidden, more supernatural, paranormal stuff. And I go into a lot of my native background and history with reconnecting with who spiritually I am and all of that. And I mean, there's so much more to read about it, and it's a transformational process that I went through, and I would love for everybody to find their own understanding by connecting with it. You can find it on Kindle and also Amazon, and you can find it's just look up Birthing a New Paradigm. I'll send links as well. And then you can also find it on my Etsy at Wildcraft Wellness. That's Wildcraft Wellness on Etsy, and you can get an inscribed copy and free shipping over there.
Awesome.
So
that is awesome.
My projects. I've also got a YouTube channel at Wildcraft Wellness as well. So go check that out and subscribe, help the algorithms, because a lot of it's shadow banned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have a weekly podcast you do?
It's not weekly. It's at least twice a month, and then often I'll get more in, and then I do all sorts of other posts about gardening and organic wildcrafting and mycology, foraging, and music and art and all sorts of awesome stuff on there. So, yeah, we post all the time. We try to keep it a weekly post and keep it pretty regular, yeah.
Excellent.
Very cool.
All right. So
I just want to remind everybody that May 17th is
tomorrow.
Tax Day. So if you haven't filed any of your income taxes yet, get them done before May 17th. You can come to us if you want to. It's at Red Rover Tax Services out of Cedar Woolley. You can call us at 360-660-1160. And even if you're out of the area, you can send your taxes through our tax portal at www.redrovertaxservices.com.
Yep, excellent.
What if we haven't filed our taxes for the last 14 years?
Well, then you're probably going to be in a little bit of trouble, but I can help you with the last 4.
Gotta find you first.
If you want your taxes done right, you go to Red Rover. You want the numbers fudged, you come to me. Okay?
That's it.
No, go to Red Rover.
No. You don't want that.
I like fudge.
All right, so next week, May 23rd, S4 exclusive, we are talking serial killers and some of the more paranormal related ones. So I'll be talking Zodiac Killer, and I haven't decided which other one I'm going to bring up yet. Cole's got his 2, Kayla's got her 2, and Izzy is going to, you only have 1. What?
I'm only taking 1.
What?
I am only taking 1 because of who it is.
Okay.
It's okay, I got 3. So we're
We're
solid.
covered.
We're
And
solid.
Izzy's coming on. She's bringing 2, I think.
Yes. Yes, she is.
Sounds like an awesome show.
It will be in and again, May 30th, we have no show because it is Memorial Day weekend. We aren't going to do a show for Memorial Day. And just to bring it up again, we have a couple minutes. I brought it up last week, but Memorial Day, don't thank us for our service. Please, I'm not dead. Memorial Day, I have to clarify this. Memorial Day is to honor our fallen soldiers. Veterans Day, by all means, thank me for my service.
I'm just
That's
saying,
fine.
by Thursday afternoon, you look kind of dead.
I always look kind of dead, but that makes for a good movie.
I was going to say, it makes for a great movie.
If you want to see me looking half dead, watch Kimmy, Kimi. It's coming out on HBO, and I do look half dead because I'm supposed to be homeless. I'm a homeless character in that movie.
Homework for the week for our listeners.
What?
Not for this week, but June 6th, if you have HBO Max, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It is coming out.
For real?
I want to talk about that.
Okay.
So, everybody, make sure you watch it. Get it in the books. If you don't want to sit at home and watch it, the theaters are open. But just remember, that's a $200 night.
I've got to put out a plug too, real quick. Craig Ahrens is a director out of California. Now, you want to watch a good indie movie that just came out this month? Go on imdb.com and watch The Crumbs. Kind of like breadcrumbs, but it's just called The Crumbs. And I'm friends with one of the main actors in the movie, Anton Clark, and he did awesome in that movie. I want to be in a movie with him one day. One day it will happen. But watch The Crumbs. It's an indie movie, so it is low budget, but well done.
Nice.
It's got a surprise ending. It's really cool.
All right.
Thank you to our panel, Barry, Joe, Arnold, Daniel, Harmony.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Great.
Welcome to the show, Harmony. I hope to have you on Roundtable from now on.
Oh, thanks. I'd love to. Yeah, I'll fill you in more on my Dogman story another time as well.
Yep.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
Sounds perfect. So, real quick, June 6th, we are talking the Magick of the North Cascades. June 13th, it's Faerie Month. What does that mean? June 20th, of course, the Roundtable. And June 27th, what constitutes paranormal missing people? And that will be our June schedule. So, real quick, too, July 11th will be our S-4 Paranormal 5th anniversary. We are going to have a lot of special people come on. Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio will be joining us.
They're taking the short bus. Sorry, Dave.
Oh, God. We'll have R. Keith Andrews on and, well, some other old-timers that were with S4 back in the beginning.
Old. Like older than dirt.
Older than dirt.
Oh, my God.
They're almost Eric's age.
So with that, we are going to wrap up a little bit early. Y'all stay safe. Have a great week. Again, watch for Kimmy. I'll definitely be releasing the date when that gets put out. It's in post-production now. But it is a Steve Soderbergh movie. It is an HBO and Warner Brothers production, so it's going to be phenomenal.
Yes, sir.
And again, I don't think I'm even allowed to talk about the actual movie, just because of privacy or security.
Eric, can we find you on Internet Movie Database?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Soon.
That's coming. Cole's my new agent, and we will be pushing for more roles. Because honestly, you know, I think I was before the show. I actually found I was a lot happier after finally being back on set. You know, this is movie number 6 for me, and I found my niche. I found what makes me happy. Paranormal makes me happy, don't get me wrong. Doing S4 makes me happy. Politics, no. The state of the world, no. Hell no, I'm tired of talking politics. I'm tired of even being involved with politics. So I'm done. I'm through.
Unless the United States wants us as president and vice president, then we're in.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
We can do that, guys.
But yeah, no, I find acting therapeutic. And that's really just, it helps with my PTSD. That might sound funny, but it does. So I'm going to be trying to get into a lot more roles, doing a lot more acting. That's just a hobby I'm going to pick back up. So, with that, folks, stay safe this week. And remember, keep your eyes to the skies.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.